All right, you're in the right place. One, shout out to Shannon Sharpe for clearing up how he left Undisputed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, he went on Stephen A's show, and Stephen A asked a whole bunch of questions, and to me, in my opinion, was trying to get Shannon to say a whole lot of things he wanted to say about Skip, but he didn't. But that's okay. We got a lot of truth out of Shannon, and I'm going to go over that in a second. The second part of the video is talking about how Shannon is like a CEO now, like turned himself into a real deal CEO, and he's up there buying podcasts. If you don't know, he just bought Club 520. I'm going to break down some of the details that's been reported. Okay, so let's just start with Undisputed. All right, this was fantastic. Everyone remembers when him and Skip had a blow up over Tom Brady, but Shannon basically said, look, it wasn't about just Tom Brady. He did insult me that day, but it was a build up. Anytime you have a big reaction like that, it's a build up over time. And for what he experienced, Skip kept trying him off camera. Well, not off camera, on camera, and they didn't have any kind of relationship off camera. Skip was basically, I sit there, I talk, and then I go home. There was no camaraderie. I don't want to sound like Tyreek Hill, but between the two. So he stated that he started to disrespect him over the air, and he felt like he should have checked him over time. But he said, no, I was tripping until that big blow up happened. He said there was a big meeting between him and the supervisors, the showrunner or whatever it is. And he basically said, I won't be disrespected again, and walked out. He said, at that moment, I should have known my job was in jeopardy. And I was like, yeah, basically. I mean, at those times, when stuff like that happens, they know that the end of the show is going to be coming up, and they just can't work with each other. All right. Now, Shannon thought, hey, we just gonna get over this. We've been together for 6-7 years, but there were apparently a lot of things getting pushed out. He was getting pushed out basically from people up top. Skip Bayless made more than Shannon at the time, and Big Bank take Little Bank. And unfortunately, Fox didn't have the foresight to see that Shannon Sharpe had become just a bigger name or even bigger. This guy's a multi-millionaire and a bigger draw than Skip Bayless is. Now, they made each other better, and Shannon didn't start like that, but that's very, very key. The point is they chose Skip Bayless. The next big blow up happened with the Damar Hamlin unfortunate situation. Skip's tweets, which are still up to this day, he's such an asshole. But the point is, he couldn't get through his monologue, and at that point he was like, this is probably not going to work. But he kept trying, but he didn't have to try no more, because Fox said, look, you're not going to finish out your contract, you're going to finish out the NBA Finals. And from that point, he hooked up with Stephen A. Stephen A. Goes on and on about how he didn't have that kind of safety net when he got fired from a network for nothing, and he wanted to provide that with Shannon Sharpe. Now, the big difference is Shannon Sharpe had already got his Club Shay channel popping. All right, it's a YouTube channel. He interviews people, and they put out clips all the time. It's over 1 million subscribers. He's killing it, and everyone wanted to know, is that going to be a bargaining chip? So he ended up signing with ESPN, but Club Shay is not with ESPN. It was still an independent entity until he signed with the Volume. We knew he signed with the Volume. We didn't know any financial details, but essentially, I'm going to go through the podcast deals and how they end up kind of looking like rap deals, like music deals. Long story short, he signs with the Volume, everything's good, but there's a creation of Shay Media. You think, oh shit, that's just the company that owns Club Shay, and that's it. No, he's now empowered to go out and buy new podcasts, and that's how they do it. Just like the Volume's been constructed, all you do is, Colin Cowherd has made a YouTube channel, made a Spotify, made a Apple, whatever his channel networks are, and then he's basically bought podcast shows for them to exclusively either be on his feed or on their own feed, but he gets the money, okay, or whatever the partnership split is. So at that point, Club Shay is now distributed, marketed, produced by the Volume. Now Shannon like, man, I got a whole bunch of new cash from my Fox separation. I got a whole bunch of new cash from ESPN, and I got new cash from the Volume. He's used that to basically buy the rights to a new up and coming show, Club 520 podcast, that's done with former NBA person Jeff Teague. He's hilarious. They're going into season 2. They just announced that they have signed with the Volume through Club Shay Media, and it's really like, if you remember when 50 Cent got signed, he got signed to, Eminem through, and Dr. Dre through Interscope. It really is very similar to that. Now, it just depends on the details on how they do it, okay? So you can basically just buy the podcast and you pay them a talent fee, or you have a partnership kind of revenue share. But the reason why you want to buy a podcast, you get to distribute it, and all that money's yours. So whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on YouTube, all those ads are coming to the person who owns it, and then they distribute it from there. Now, whether that's a talent fee or whether it's actually a joint partnership, that's up to the parties. But what has happened is, instead of independently producing your own podcast, which I'm doing currently right now, I'm doing this, I'm editing it, putting the music behind it, making sure the clips go right. It's actually now outsourced. It's outsourced to whoever bought it. So Club Shay Media produces it, or the Volume produces it, and they get the shows. Basically, the talent comes in, goes through the topics, says it, and they get to go home. They don't have to stay up late and actually put out the material anymore. That's up to Shay Media and the Volume. And from there, in exchange for that talent fee, all the ads come to the Volume or Shay Media, whatever the production split is. And then you get to own or license that content to other different platforms. So, Roku TV can come calling. Different channels, Fubo TV can come calling, and at that point you're getting all of those advertising revenue dollars. So that's the reason why you do it. Say you pay the talent, I'm giving you whole numbers, $100,000 for a season, $200,000 for a season. You expect to make a multiple of that through the talent, through the work that they turn into you. Now, it's really big business. You look at $1 million worth of game, it has highly been reported that they signed another few seasons with Barstool Sports for $50 million. Now, if they get $50 million through their licensing of their podcast, and by the way, the merch and all that other stuff goes to Barstool, you got to be thinking, if they gave you $50 million, how much are you really making? How much is Barstool Sports making? Because you're not going to do that at a loss. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So if they're making $50 million, you got to think it's a multiple of that. And sooner or later, if you have a really popular podcast, really popular YouTube show, whatever the case may be, you're really going to be raking in the dollars. And people have finally figured that out. They finally figured out what Colin Cowherd's doing. That's what Stephen A. Smith is doing. He's alluded to actually adding on podcasts to his own network feeds. That's what Club Shay is doing currently. Not only did he sign with the Volume, he then produces a new show with Chad Ochocinco. Then he buys the distribution rights to Club 520. Now, I will say, I don't know if Club 520 is going to premiere on Club Shay's feed. They got their own, but it's smaller. It's like 32,000 subscribers. Club Shay's at 1 million. The Volume's up around 800,000 subscribers. You want more bang for your buck and introduce them to a new audience. So maybe they'll see a few episodes here and there on those respective feeds. But we'll see how it goes throughout the years. And, it's really becoming a lucrative business. But the thing is, it's just like the music business, record business. It could pop, could not. Good luck. Heritage Sports.